Kabiru is a proper family member, and we all understand that matter. This man is my neighbor. He's troublesome, but he's a nice guy.
Okay, Senyo, let's hear you.
I think that the advocacy we got from Bright, from the minority, is good for this country and our democracy. It's good for promoting proper accountability. Because it brought visibility to the issues. It brought, some people will be sitting here today to even give an explanation of all the things that are happening. I wasn't even following. Somebody tagged me on somebody's thing about the IMF thing. I don't follow things these days. I have over 100 workers to try and take care of. So I manage my public advocacy. And I went into the matter.
Are you suggesting?
Yes.
Are you suggesting?
Yes.
That when people take an issue,
yes,
and they say a company was formed in 2025,
yes,
when the facts will show that the company was formed in 2015, it is good advocacy we should promote.
I'm not saying that misrepresentation should be promoted, but the act and art of trying to participate, we are given the opportunity for us to learn where we have to learn, for us to dispute, debate, and actually construct policy directives that are helpful for everybody. I don't sit here to be right. I sit here to want to get it right.
To be factual.
That's me.
My job is to get you to be factual.
At any point in time. Yeah. So I'm happy any time to even change and shape my position when I hear superior argument. Because I'm not the brightest person in the room. But I have views that are well informed. Let's take this, what's the name, IMF thing. But as we go into that, let me give a little background, and I think I made that in my little piece. They woke up the economics in me when I saw this whole thing. I was quite unhappy when I saw the comments around IMF. I thought that it was a legitimate position, it wasn't wrong, but it should have been contextualized. But they contextualized it by throwing too many things all around it without clarity. All right, which was my issue, and that's why I actually came in to want to look into the matter. I interviewed Sami. I spent a lot of time on phone with him. I met a few IMF friends. Of course, I have friends also in the CSO. Unfortunately, I didn't see Bright's piece till the day after when I published it. It was our friend Jampo. Jampo is the one who brought it to the ad. I realized that if tries, no, I'm not competing with my brother, not my former mentee. Now he's a big man. I can't mentor him anymore. But this is it. Are there trading losses? Let's take that out of the way. There are trading losses in that transaction. But what is that trading losses supposed to imply? And I'm saying when you see losses, you must be careful how you treat them or relate to them. The gold board hasn't made losses. Today we are hearing it, but the fact and the structure of that program, as I knew it before, as I know it today, there's no loss that will accrue to the gold board. But the gold board has been designed as a particular monetary policy related or supporting entity, an institution of state. That's what it is. Has it played that role? I think it has. The first thing that caught my attention when you mooted the idea of gold board, and I was one of the first people to engage you to discuss it, was the issues about the gap and the unaccounted volumes that we have. The Swiss Aid group actually published something. I think the OECD too did that. I think Mekana also published that sometime in 2020. The Swiss Aid guys did that sometime in June 2025, reporting on the delta in the Ghana market sphere. They estimate about 229 tons was unaccounted for, largely going to the UAE, which seems to be the welcome center for our ASM gold or Adori gold. 229 tons, that average was about 45 over the last over 5 years. I think it was 2019 to 2023 they reported. Do you know the value of that today? Over $6 billion. How much have we been going to the IMF for? $3 billion. How much Eurobond have we been trying to get onto our books to help show up our reserves in the past few years? Largely going to the Eurobond market every day for $3 billion. Nanado was right. Yet Tisikaso, a come dear. What I found critical about the gold board structure was its ability to help nip that bud and get those volumes back to this country. I raised this issue when we were trying to deal with the BOG, the petroleum issues some time back with when Wampa was governor. So we set up a whole committee with the banks, the treasurers, we all sat down. And at that time, everybody knew that there was a huge delta between the actual gold exports, especially on ASM, and the actual gold receipts that we realized. That's why significantly Ghana has had trade surpluses that have not effectively translated into our BOP balances and our reserves. This is where the gap has been. Gold is going, but the FX is not coming. The absence of the FX coming in is having a major problem on our balance of payments. It will definitely affect our reserves. And when your reserves are affected, your currency will lose its feet. We went to the IMF because we were almost about just 1 month. We're at a point where I think we're even below 1 month, what do you call it, import cover. But yet it's a castle, a come dear. So me, I commend Bawumia because I know he was the brainchild of this entire good for reserve thing. He is the brainchild, and we must commend that effort. What we have seen the NDC come and do is to actually perfect the idea, because the old idea had different fragmentations and actually a number of loose ends to actually achieve the ability to hold down the sector and make sure Ghana optimizes its interest in there. Be careful when you subsidize imports and you subsidize exports, they are not same. The impact on the economy are often very varied. Because when you subsidize exports, you actually drive production, you actually grow your economy. Because of the receipts, you actually end up getting a gain from your exports. And you're able to then build your reserves. But when you subsidize imports, like you are subsidizing fuel prices, and you're not even doing that significantly, you are actually just chopping off your feet. That's the difference in this whole mix. So back to this, what we have achieved out of this is for us to possibly get what I used to think, looking at the country basis, about 30% of our output not being accounted for. Swiss aid is telling us that it's 45 tons on the average a year. That is big. $6 billion that could transform a lot of things for us as far as our reserves are concerned. So you take what the Bank of Ghana was trying to do. My understanding of what was conceptualized was we have to optimize these inflows. If we are going to be losing money to smuggling, because you can easily smuggle gold, and again, right, gold is not cocoa. The risk that you had with gold that facilitated and legitimized the gold board structure is not same as what we have ongoing today for cocoa board. Not at all. So let's not mix the two. There are certain institutional similarities, but the policy drive for it, no. As part of the CSO group, we were consulted by the government and the Galamsey squad because they wanted to pass the gold board bill. So we all made inputs into the gold board bill. That's why I've been quite bullish about the gold board. The only thing I want to see more the track and trace, and then a lot more accountability to drive a lot more responsible sourcing. But let's take the IMF that highlighted these trading losses. IMF is highlighting these trading losses because largely, while this is a policy expense that is being incurred productively, their preference is that it shouldn't be sitting on the books of the Bank of Ghana. So in their own report, they're actually suggesting that it's the fiscal table that should actually absorb this loss. I mean, I agree with them. You are saying that you're looking at what burden sharing. All right, that's fine. You guys can all look at it in different ways. As a policy institution, the Bank of Ghana can exercise actions that would lead to net expenses. And I'll cite one typical example, which is central to their action. I beg you, go and look at the Bank of Ghana annual report. Go and look at the Bank of Ghana annual report. Go to the financials. I think that's about on page 50. You see what you have there. And look at their comprehensive income statement.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah, before then.
And also, there
are too many things I have to respond to. Samson, I beg you, I appreciate you, but I spent time on this, and I spent time sitting here for 3 hours, listening to everybody. I'm happy if anybody wants to interject, but I think that it is fair that I'm allowed to speak. All right.
There are questions
don't worry. Maybe when I speak, I'm very happy to listen to speak to anybody. You look at the net interest expense, which would likely mean you taking out interest and similar income out of the cost of open market operations. You have a negative. That again is a trading loss. But that trading loss is necessary because of the policy times. The bank is trying to absorb a lot more money from the surplus liquidity you have in there to help control inflation. Yeah. Inflation is the primary object for the formation of the Bank of Ghana. Inflation management. Look at it, the act, object, only one, boom, before the second one, anything to support government. That's the number one thing. That's the focus. So what is it that we can do to help deal with it? Inflation. Our currency, we have done a study, all right? And I'm doing it with a few of our farm and men companies, so we have a whole research team, all right? We are seeing the recovery of our exchange actually translating to over 50% of the recovery we are having on inflation. We are seeing that. So it means that there was a strategic policy decision to help deal with this exchange rate because it can translate effectively into inflation management. If we don't spend this amount of money, we stand the risk of losing so much dollars to the world. And yet still not having that to actually show up our reserve and build our might to be able to bring proper living and viable lives to our own people. The question that Bright puts, is it gold board or this particular thing that has necessarily led to the currency being having this level of recovery or stability? That's your big question. All right, let's look at it. Let's take all our time. You put up a graph there. You talk about the debt restructuring. You said that was 55%. The other one, I was going to write that. No, I want to hear you answer the question. What did you say debt restructuring was? No, I'm not asking. I want to be guided by what I want to say. You put something there. So tell us. You said 55% for debt restructuring. That's what I saw on your screen.
What is my time I'll speak?
No, I want to know so I'll be guided.
You want to know what?
What you said.
On what?
When you were breaking down the factors that have led to the recovery of the CD. You attributed
the highest amount is fiscal consolidation.
Fiscal consolidation.
Yes. Sorry?
Was that the 55%?
GDP. Yes. The highest amount was fiscal consolidation.
Yes.
GDP.
Yes.
And
no, he gave a good board 8%.
Okay.
Which one again?
Yeah, the Bank of Ghana, IMF Finance Minister, and the President.
Please, I want to be guided.
What is guided by? It's a very simple point. The point is that it's not only gold board that has contributed to stability. Based on our analysis,
let my production team, please, the production team, Bright Simon's slide.
How do you do that analysis?
Senyo is referring to a particular page of the slides. There are only 5 slides. Can you bring them back?
Where does the Bank of Ghana get money from to
Can
give
you
the
bring it
market
back?
every week? Gold board gives Bank of Ghana $200 to $300 million a week. You are saying that the city is strong because of what? Because we get people haircuts. Yes. We get people haircuts.
So IMF includes all the...
Yes,
that believes an IMF. That
attribution of CD stability. Hold on.
So why is that? IMF program.
Please.
Why didn't the dollar come down?
Sorry. Let's say you continue. Sorry. Sammy, don't do this. Sammy, don't do this.
IMF is the reason why the dollar has come down.
Let's project this.
No. Did I ever program conclude that?
Today?
Of course, it's concluded today.
Why is that the dollar was rather going up?
It's
like Brian Simmons.
Thank you.
You see this stability.
This is the end of the IMF program. The IMF is concluding this only is what you're asking for.
Yes. So you see, these are his estimates: 55%, 37% from the global price rally. I don't have a view of how he did his analysis, but I don't agree, and I'll explain why. We shouldn't be guided by that. All those two factors, the very first factor, let me take the 55%, were already a given. If you were doing a financial analysis going forward, it will even add to your incremental cash flows for you to, you see that whole thing from a policy perspective sunk sunk cost because it's a decision already taken.
No.
So we should
No, please. Nobody has said that.
What is it?
I didn't say fiscal consolidation.
That's not what I am.
You wrote debt relief.
And IMF.
Yeah, no, please. What goes?
What have you?
IMF. So what is IMF?
IMF the entire program.
Look, even with the 10 billion,
All right, that's
if you're
fine.
servicing the debt, it will not be able to survive.
Exactly.
Okay, it's fine.
Simple as even if you're servicing the debt.
Which debt?
If you're servicing the debt, that
Which debt?
the 10 billion you're talking, it will be
The program of the debt restructuring continues.
What?
The period of
even this year.
Please, hold on. So let's take this debt relief and IMF. All right, all of them were already factored in. What you do with information in financial markets is that available information are factored into the decisions that you make, into the pricing that is made into the market at every given point in time. It's only shocks that vary them. We went into the budget. IMF sat down. They knew about all this. They knew about their policies. They knew about debt relief. What did they do? They sat down and supervised our country to assume an estimate of 15.95. What? Please, I beg you.
We have been under an IMF program 16 times.
I know, we all know that.
When did we achieve the economic gains? We have achieved this year under an IMF program.
Please, let me talk. Look at what you're saying. Guys, so the two of you are can I finish?
We were under an IMF program. You see this?
We have had fluctuations.
Please, can I finish? I beg you. Let me finish. One, those things have been factored in. Those key contributors, except for the gold price rally, which was already accruing. But to be fair, not to this level. What we saw absolutely as on policy terms, you could see it as a sunk impact. It's actually the debt relief and the IMF.
How can it be IMF sunk impact when it's still continuing?
When I say sunk impact, you see, you don't understand the English and speaking. So
Explain it.
When you have the information, the details about that policy, its directions already known to the financial markets, that information, that impact has already been factored into the price and the expectation.
Just by having
you will factor it and put in a discount factor.
If you don't deliver the program,
please just have it. Finance. I beg you, go and learn. Go and learn. Please, go and learn. Go and learn.
We have an economist.
Go and learn. Who said? Any other economists here? Are you telling me that IMF is trying to estimate? Please, IMF is trying to estimate. Please,
only one train economics on the program, so please keep quiet.
IMF is trying. Please, I beg you. IMF is trying to estimate for this year. Together with the Ministry of Finance, estimated 15.95, as with the assumption that it was going to deploy its policies. It was clear. So if this is what your policy will do, let's keep it there. What else has happened? Those last two things have happened. What we have had is the gold value price for this year. Can I finish? Can I finish?
Even way back
can I finish? Now let me quote the IMF. I want to quote the IMF. The IMF talk. Let's give it. The IMF says that since the 2023 domestic debt restructuring, okay, it gives us. Let's look at the 33 rather. 33. Since program approval, the BOG has taken an increasingly active role as an intermediary in the FX market on the back of stronger BOP inflows. Where are they coming from? Now, the GGPP has been the key source of these inflows, which also included cocoa inflows and repatriation requirement on extractive sector export proceeds. I'll tell you again. Can I look? I'm telling that the IMF is itself. The IMF itself. Please.
Are we having extended program? Let's find out where we have extended program. Please, let's go on. Let's go. Yeah. Go ahead. It's not to distract you.
When you build your reputation,
look, it also says in the report that despite debt service commitments in a post-debt restructuring environment, we have consistently outperformed NIR target, that is the net international reserve target, since the beginning of the program. This is notably due to the large-scale domestic gold purchase program,
which is influenced by prices.
Please, it's largely due to that. The biggest part of this whole thing is our ability to claw back the volumes that used to be smuggled. If you will not be reasonable about that, God forgive you.
Ongoing.
Please, can I finish? I beg you, please. I beg you. The data has shown,
let me tell you.
Right from the official data that stays with the US country, showing countries.
Because of the interventions and interruptions and how it has disrupted people's thoughts and the rest of them, and the demands from Bright and Kabiru.
That's why we are doing a 30-minute extension. Take your time. You have done almost 20 minutes now. In the next 5 minutes,
are we going to talk about Galamsey?
You should. The main reason you were here partly was because you are in the Galamsey group, anti-Galamsey group. We will make sure at least we get you to say something in 3 minutes.
And I'd like to answer that question. Right. Who is buying the Galamsey?
Yes, it's a question that's still outstanding.
Managing the FX, that responsibility sits with the central bank through inflation.
And I'll urge all of you at this point, be quiet and listen to one person speak at a time. Okay. Some of our viewers, very respected statesmen and women, are complaining about the interventions that is making it cacophonous.
I'll repeat a bit on the IMF. The IMF has largely said that the success of our ability to drive and grow our reserves has been dependent on this DGPP as the lead and focal arrowhead. That's what it has said. From the same document that highlights the risk, which has to do with these 240 million, dollar trading losses. The same document. The IMF sees the value of the DGPP. Its problem is that expense, while it may be relevant, should actually be sitting on the fiscal books. I don't disagree with the IMF. Sami is suggesting that there should be some kind of split somewhat. It's possible. But the rally we have today in our currency is not because of debt relief. Debt relief helped us with our stability coming into 2025, way before. What has changed for 2025 is our ability to really drive and optimize our FX flows from our gold exports. Because the leakages were always sitting there. Always sitting there. The data that you had on the screen showed it. When you had the tax bit, you saw how it tanked. The data you have from Comtrade versus, which is the UN trade data body, versus which records the data that the exports we report to places like UAE, versus what UAE says we actually brought. I was estimating around 30%, 33%, one-third. The Swiss aid, which has done a more thorough analysis, is telling us that it's about 45 tons. 45 tons on an average. Do you know what that means? That's $6 billion. $6 billion. Where was our gross reserves at the time? At the time we were looking at going into IMF, it was not even up to $3 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So what has really happened on the supply side for us has been the efficiency of the gold board. So me, Sami is my brother, but that's not just for him. When he's wrong, I criticize him. It's not a problem for me. I've criticized him because I expect him to do more for us during the Galamsey fight in 9 months. I've been talking to him about it.
And so when Kabiru and Bright raised the issue, we all should embrace that this is important to help shape the gold board going forward.
Absolutely.
And that the criticism is well intended.
Yes.
Kabiru speaks about things that have been done in the economy, and so it's not accurate. It's not correct to want to take all the, as it were, the credit. What's the name? Bright speaks about that. Credibility is important. I listened to Dr. Baumia in his Christmas New Year message.